Welcome to another edition of Good Shepherd Pet Foods informational presentations. Today we are going to talk about natural feeding for cats and dogs. Now we're going to call this presentation a reintroduction because for the most part people today have forgotten what it's like to feed dogs and cats a natural diet. We're so used to going to the grocery store, buying bagged pet food, bringing it home, putting it in a bowl, and calling it a day. Well, natural feeding is nothing like that. Commercial pet foods are not natural foods, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So, do dogs and cats deserve natural food? Well, I don't know about you, but I think they do. I think today our dogs and cats are plagued with all of these problems, all of these diseases, all of these cancers. You know, they're being plagued with diseases that they didn't ask for. And when we look at the history of the dog and the cat, these kinds of health problems didn't exist in the wild. So we have to look at what's going on today. We've got better vet care, we have vaccines, we have all kinds of surgeries and medicines and antibiotics, and we have all of these things that we didn't have before, yet our pets are sicker than they have ever been. And we know for a fact diet plays a huge part in health, whether you're a human or a dog. So that's really what we have to look at, the diet. Well, what are natural foods then for dogs and cats? Well, let's start by looking at what are natural foods for humans. Well, you know, we would never think eating something like chocolate cake every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner would be a healthy food because it's not natural. It's got lots of preservatives in it, lots of sugar, etc., etc. So natural foods basically mean the less you do to it, the more natural it is. Now humans, we can eat some foods naturally, other foods we have to cook. That's how our biology is set up. Dogs and cats are very different. They evolved eating raw foods. They didn't have access to fire. They certainly didn't know how to cook if they did see a fire. So natural foods for dogs and cats are raw foods, raw meats, raw bones, raw organs. So why do we say that commercial pet foods are not natural? Well, we have to look at the processing that goes into actually making a commercial pet food. Basically, they take all of their ingredients, even if they're healthy ingredients to start with, which is debatable, they take all of the ingredients, they process them, they extrude them, they dehydrate them, they cook them, they fill them with artificial supplements, they fill them with preservatives, and they fill them with, you know, stuff like artificial colors, artificial flavors, and things like that. So, you know, just looking basically at a commercial pet food, there is nothing natural about it. It is truly the equivalent of a human living on junk food every day and then expecting to be healthy. So commercial pet foods, regardless of what the labels say, regardless of what the ingredients say, the minute you do any of these things, processing, extrusion, or cooking to those ingredients, the naturalness is gone. Feeding dogs or cats a natural diet can only happen if we biologically look at dogs and cats on their insides. On the outside, they're cute, they're cuddly, they come in all different shapes and sizes, they sleep in our beds, they lay on our laps, but internally, biologically, they are carnivores. Cats are what we call obligate carnivores, and dogs are what we call opportunistic carnivores. So either way, they're carnivores. And we know carnivores are designed to eat raw meats. Carnivores hunt their prey, kill their prey, and then eat their prey. So if we really want to give our pets a healthy diet, we have to first remember what they are and then what they need to eat. So how do we know dogs and cats are carnivores? Well, there's been a lot of research on this, and there really is no debating it. All dogs are descendants of the gray wolf, and cats, I mean, just go to the zoo, look at the tigers, look at the lions, and you're going to see your cat's face right in there. So DNA-wise, genetically, we know dogs and cats evolved from carnivorous backgrounds. Just because we brought them into our homes, just because we have domesticated them, we have not changed their digestive systems. We have not changed the fact of the placement of their teeth. We haven't changed the fact that they have a short intestinal tract or a very large stomach or an acidic stomach. We haven't changed any of those things. So even if Fluffy is laying in your lap purring all day long, inside she is still a carnivore. A natural diet for cats and dogs revolves around three very, very important things. The first one being they have to have a steady daily diet based on having quality animal-based proteins. They also need to have a balanced fat, and those fats need to be defended, which we're going to talk about, and it needs to be low carbohydrate. And again, when we're talking about any diet for cats and dogs, the more natural, the better. So quality animal proteins is the first one. What that means is cats and dogs evolved eating other animals, eating prey. So that's what biologically they're designed to be able to digest properly and efficiently, and then get the nutrients from their meals and properly utilize them throughout their body. So quality animal proteins is what we always have to start with. Now, most pet foods have a guaranteed analysis which tells you the percentage of protein within the bag. Well, the problem with that is protein comes in all different, it comes from all different sources. It comes from animals, it comes from plants. Shoe leather even has protein in it. So just because a pet food has, 29% protein, what we really have to look at is how much of that 29% comes from animal sources. And you will never know the answer to that by the way the pet food companies have designed the way they put their labels. You are never going to know how much protein of that 29% came from rice, came from chicken, and that's the problem. The next thing that all cats and dogs need to have in their diet are balanced and defended fats. Balanced fats, this is not that complicated. It just means we want to make sure that they are eating a balanced amount of fats, not too much of one kind and not enough of another. And again, when you're looking at the ingredient list on a bag of pet food, they don't tell you that. You will never know what the quantity of one type of fat is versus the quantity of another. Now, the defended fats is very important for people that are feeding solely a commercial pet food to their pets. The fats are not being defended. We can tell you that right now. And this is what happens. Once again, we're talking molecular levels, the biology, but I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. When a pet food is manufactured and processed and cooked, and we want to give that pet food a shelf life of, say, 6 months or 12 months, we have to put a lot of preservatives in it, because if we didn't, the food would rot. That just makes sense. So pet foods, commercial pet foods, have a lot of preservatives in them in order to defend the fats that are inside. Well, when you open a bag of pet food and the oxygen that's in the air, rushes into that bag, the preservatives go to work, and the preservatives fight all those oxygen molecules and keep the fats defended. They're the army. Well, they can only do that for so long before there's nothing left, and they can't defend the fats. What happens then? The fats start turning rancid. Now, this, again, is not something you can see with your eyes. You can smell it sometimes. You open up a bag and you're like, oh, what's that smell? That's what's happening. It's all those preservatives fighting off the oxygen. The average person keeps a bag of pet food open for 39 days. Preservatives can only defend for about 5 to 7. So if you're going to insist on feeding a commercial pet food, You need to buy the smallest bag possible, and you need to feed it within 5 to 7 days, or the fats within that bag are going to start turning rancid. There's going to be all kinds of health problems that your dog or cat will have ingesting rancid food. And again, you're not going to see it. And you know, we all smell dog food. It doesn't smell, you know, like a steak dinner. So, you know, but we're so used to that smell, we think it's normal. Well, it's not. It's actually the food turning rancid. And then finally, low carbohydrates. That's just a given. Dogs and cats do not need a lot of grains in their diet. The little grains that they did eat in the wild came because they actually ate the stomach contents of the prey that they killed. So low carbohydrate diet, balanced defended fats, quality animal proteins, and obviously not processed. The more natural, the better. Now here's a question, and it's not meant to be a trick question, but which looks more natural to you? The bowl of kibble on the left or the raw chicken on the right? Raw chicken, raw meats, raw bones, these are all things that are natural to a cat or a dog. And when we go against that because of our own fears, our own insecurities, our own ick factors, then we're going to do harm. We're asking our dogs and cats to eat a diet every day, day in and day out, that is not natural to them because either we don't know there's another option or we know about the other option, but we're kind of grossed out by it. We need to get over that for the sake of our pets. What you're going to see on the screen now are a sampling of natural foods for cats and dogs. All of these are natural. Chicken, turkey, beef, rabbit, bones, organs, fish. These are all things that dogs and cats can eat safely, and they're going to eat it and be healthy and live longer and get rid of all these allergies and skin problems and diseases and cancer. All of those things, I mean, unless it's genetic and it's going to happen regardless, you know, those things are preventable through diet. What we're doing is feeding our pets commercial pet foods, which is the equivalent of feeding our kids candy every day. This, what you see on the screen, is what cats and dogs were designed to eat by Mother Nature herself. The bottom line is today's pets are sick. They're sicker than they have ever been. Pet food companies have been around for a very short amount of time in comparison to the dog and the cat. Dogs and cats, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before big pet food companies came into their lives, have totally survived on raw food diets. It's only by our own hand that we have decided to change that. We needed convenience, we wanted convenience, and we got convenience. The problem is our pets are suffering for it. So do a little research. We really encourage people, do some more research about commercial pet foods, do some research on raw feeding, talk to people. There's lots of groups on the internet that are there to help and to support. But the biggest thing is, don't let the commercial interest of big business interfere with how you want your pet to live. If you want your pet to just survive and go through life kind of okay, then that's commercial pet foods. But if you want your pet to thrive, if you want your pet to have a good quality life that's disease-free, allergy-free, and all other things free, then please consider changing their diet. For all of us here at Good Shepherd Pet Food, we thank you for watching, and we encourage you to visit our website at goodshepherdpetfood.com. We also have a blog at goodshepherdpetfood.blogspot.com. Thank you for watching.